Hey everyone, I'm Luke Hurtte, and I am coming to you from my kitchen. You might notice it's not the studio you normally see this week because it is still a winter wonderland out there. And yes, I am wearing a jacket and a beanie inside my own home because it's freezing outside, which means it's also cold in here because I'm cheap and I don't want to turn the heat up. Just ask my wife. She'll be happy to tell you all about it if she can get out from underneath that mountain of blankets that she's in. So, anyway, before I continue, I wanted to say that I spent a couple days this week kind of thinking about what verses maybe I wanted to talk about with y'all. Yeah, there's been several recently that have kind of had an impact on my life, and I ended up settling with my old favorite. I'd say it's my life verse. And I just wanted to share with you all the impact it's had on my life. It's Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. From the NIV, that reads, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." So, something that I have been guilty of recently is not doing that. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I've been letting my worry run free, and have really given my worries free reign with my life right now. Instead of just laying everything at God's feet and letting Him guide me, I've been trying to control every aspect of my life, and I've been worried about a lot of what ifs. What if I lose my job? What if the economy crashes? What if this we never get back to our old sense of normal? And what I need to be doing, and what I've been trying to make an intentional effort to do this year, refocus, regroup, is to live by even ifs instead of what ifs. Even if I lose my job, God is still in control. Even if this virus continues, God is still in control. Even if this is our new normal, God is still in control, and He always has been. I mean, how great is that? So, a couple weeks ago, I was reading a morning devotional, and I decided to turn on some worship music. I selected "Goodness of God." Looking back now, I'd say that was God speaking to me, saying, "Hey, listen to that song. I want to talk to you." So I listened to it, and there's a verse in that, and I'm going to spare all of your ears. I'm not going to sing it for you. I'm sorry, but it goes like, "All my life, you have been faithful. All my life, you have been so, so good." So I started thinking about that a little because I've just got all these worries going on. And I'm like, yeah, you've been faithful every step of the way. And so that was a Sunday morning. We got ready, went to church. Walk into church. I couldn't tell you the last time that I sang this song at church. We're singing it that morning. I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. I hear you. I'm going to listen. And so I get thinking recently then about how faithful God has been all my life. I think back, before my wife was my wife, we were kind of at a crossroads in our relationship and didn't know which way it was going to go. So I spent most of the night one night, I was up praying, tossing, turning, trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? What am I supposed to be to her? And I'm just praying, God, just help me to be whatever I'm supposed to be. Friends, more than friends, move on, what? And so the next day I wake up, and the first thing I read in the Bible is Proverbs chapter 3. And that was the only reason it was the first thing I read, was because that was where I'd last left off, reading through the Old Testament chronologically. So how crazy is that? And so I get to, Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. I read it, and I literally laughed out loud. I said, okay. I spoke to God out loud. I said, okay. And immediately this weight was just lifted from me. I just had this overwhelming peace. And rather than trying desperately to figure things out of my own understanding, I just gave it to God. And that night, actually, and then the next day, my future wife and I reconnected, and we never looked back. And something really cool about that was, a year to the day from the night that I was up, all night, desperately begging God to, show me what I needed to do, make sense of things, was our wedding a year later. And it didn't stop there, because a few years later, I'm sitting in the hospital room, a few hours, I'm about to meet our daughter, and despite God's faithfulness, I've let my worries run away with me again here. My wife had a horrible pregnancy. I'm sitting there, I'm convinced that in a few hours, best case scenario, I'm going to be a single dad. Worst case scenario, I'm losing both of them. She was really sick. And I mean, that's what I convinced myself. I'd work myself up, stomach's in knots, I'm trying to take a nap, it's 5 a.m., I've been up all night, look at my phone, look at the YouVersion app. Verse of the day is Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. I think, are you kidding me? I just kind of laugh and say, okay, God, I got it. I mean, you got it, I'll trust in you. And a few hours later, my wife is fine, daughter's born. She is not fine. She's fine now. It's 5 years later. You would never know. But she spent the next 3 months in the hospital, and there were occasions where she was fighting desperately for her life. The only thing that pulled us through that time as a family, was trusting in God, because I truly had a supernatural peace because He had spoken to me again through this Bible verse. And I just knew that someday we were all going to come home as a family. And it was almost 3 months later, but the three of us came home. Back in the present day, now I'm struggling with this again, despite all these occurrences of His faithfulness and how good He's been my whole life. I'm wrestling for control, trying to control things. I'm worried about things. And so today I really wanted to focus on this verse and remind you all, myself included, to let go. Trust in Jesus with everything you have. Stop trying to make sense of things. Don't lean on your own understanding, your own limited perspective, and just give it to God. Trust in Him. He's going to guide you. He's going to make our path straight. And so I want to close with a prayer here. I just want to pray, Lord, anyone that needs to hear this message today, anyone listening, please just guard their hearts and lead them, especially those struggling with anxiety, depression, worry, fear, doubt. Please just make your presence known to them. Let them know that you are here and you've got this. You are greater than any troubles this world can bring. And we just need to trust in you, give it all to you, and you will lead us. You will make our path straight if we can just lay it down at your feet. We love you, Jesus. And it's in your